Alright, welcome back, and it's time to continue with the latest Tier 11 main battle tank platoon. Now, today we'll be taking a look at the IPM1. Now, when we compare the M1A1 HC and the IPM1 visually and overall armor-wise, we're looking at the same hull. The main difference between the two vehicles would be the main cannon. On the IPM1 you do get a 105mm main cannon, which does make this vehicle a lot more similar to the Tier 10 M1 Abrams, but overall you will get a decent APFSDS shell. Unfortunately, you will be lacking the new shell, which is found on the HC, but you do get the same hull, you do get the same armor, you do get the same protection that the M1A1 HC has to offer, the same composite armor, the same thickness, the same layout. Pretty much when it comes to hull and armor, it's the same tank, but a smaller caliber main cannon. Now, the 120mm on the HC does work really well. However, the IPM1's main cannon isn't too bad as well. I mean, after all, it is a Tier 11 vehicle, and it will definitely be better than the Tier 10 vehicle. However, you can feel the difference between the cannons when you're using them in combat. Now, here is the ammo layout on the IPM1. Decent penetration. You do also have a hash option, which is missing on the HC version of the vehicle, but dual APFSDS shells and a HETFS option, as well as hash, is decent enough, I would say. And 520mm of penetration, maximum penetration, is good enough. It will get the job done just fine, but it's one thing to just look at the stats. Let's take this thing for a little ride and let's see how it will perform in combat. So, since it basically has the same armor and same hull as the M1A1 HC, armor-wise there's the same, everything besides the main cannon is the same. That means that you can easily go hull down, and this is one such position where it is going to work wonders, because from this position here only a very small amount of turret is exposed, and you're also very far away from the enemy tanks, so if you have a little bit of luck, you will be able to do a lot of damage from this position. Now, can you actually feel the difference between the 120mm and 105mm? Yes, you can. And the HC model of the vehicle does penetrate up to 110mm more armor than the IPM1. So you will have to be a little bit more accurate, and you will have to aim a little bit smarter in order to hit the weak spot of the enemy vehicle in order to destroy the enemy tank, which can be a little bit problematic in, for example, this occasion here, where I don't really see a lot of the enemy vehicle, so I will have to basically just cross my fingers and pray that it hits. Usually it does hit, but it's been a slow start with this vehicle today. Primarily because, again, if it were the 120mm cannon, it would be able to just cut through the upper plate, but we're looking at a slightly smaller caliber. Not a big deal at the end of the day, because you can still just cut through the armor. If you hit the weak spot, if you hit the side armor, you know, it will still work fine. I feel like the reload is a little bit faster though, and overall the reload on both of the vehicles is very fast. They don't have an autoloader. I think it's a assisted loader, not exactly an autoloader like we have seen on the T90, T72 and other vehicles like that. So, and one of the reasons why you don't see a catastrophic vehicle explosion when hitting the ammo. Speaking of catastrophic vehicle explosion, you do get a blowout panel on the IPM1, as well as obviously on the M1A1 HC does get the same thing. The blowout panel will save the vehicle if your ammo gets detonated. You can just, you know, if the door inside is closed, the ammo will not the explosion will not engulf the vehicle basically. It will use the bullet panels and divert the flames upwards, which you will see later in this video in the next battle, hopefully. But overall, when it comes to survivability, the same survivability as seen on the M1A1HC. One thing that I do feel a little bit different though, I think maybe they have changed the engine on the vehicle, because maybe it's just my imagination, to be honest, but I feel like this vehicle its reverse feels a little bit slower. I don't know if I'm just imagining things. Could very well be the case that I'm just imagining it, but that is what I noticed. The reverse speed on this vehicle seems slightly lower, but that's just, I could be wrong. Could be just my imagination at the end of the day. Overall, the feel of the vehicle is a lot closer to the tier 10 Abrams, and that's one thing that I initially didn't really like, because when I used the M1 Abrams, the first one, for the very first time, I actually struggled to get a good battle with it. I don't know why, I just didn't have luck. But the first day with the M1 Abrams was very difficult. I had most issues with the overall ammo and the fact that you don't get enough penetration compared to some other tier 10 vehicles on the M1 Abrams, which isn't really a problem on the tier 10 variant of the vehicle, because you do get still nearly double the penetration over the classic M1, which again is a huge bump and a very massive bump in the overall, I would say, a very massive bump in the overall performance. And I believe when the tech tree comes up, we will have the M1 Abrams, and then second tier would be this one, the IPM1, and then you would have the M1A1HC as the top tier in the tech tree platoon, in the tech tree. That is maybe coming in an update or two. We're getting close there. I said before, I expect it to land on the anniversary of the game, like aircraft mode landed on about the same time. So it's definitely going to be very interesting to see how will the tech tree be implemented into the game. I hope that it's going to be good. We will see. I will happily wait for the tech tree to be introduced into the game. So, overall, if you have seen the previous video that I made with the M1A1HC, this vehicle performs about the same. The only major difference would be the main cannon, I would say. The main cannon is definitely, it feels just like it doesn't kick as hard as the 120mm, but that is to be expected, because smaller caliber and overall. I could probably find all of other things that are missing or not added into the game, but overall, my experience with the whole platoon so far has been, generally speaking, I would say it's been very positive for the most part. I still have to drive the third vehicle of the platoon, which admittedly I don't really want to. The M118, or I forgot the name of it. It's the third vehicle of this platoon. I didn't really enjoy that thing for a lot of different reasons. The primary reason being that the controls on the previous one were terrible. I still managed to get some decent battles with it, but I don't really want to drive that vehicle because of the weight. It doesn't handle well. And this is the thing with wheeled vehicles in general, they don't really handle well. Besides the map not being large enough for them, I would say, because they're huge. The third vehicle of the platoon, the M118, or M117, I forgot the name, but you know what I'm talking about, the wheeled vehicle of the platoon that has that giant cannon. It has a good cannon, but unfortunately just the hull is the problem. the whole of the vehicle is the primary problem, and the primary thing that is ruining the overall feel of. If the maps were larger, let's say double the size, you could safely snipe with them, but unfortunately at the moment the vehicle has to rely on cover overall. But obviously back to the M1. So far I'm actually quite happy with their performance. They have been performing, generally speaking, very good. Very little to no complaints for me. Maneuverability though, I don't know, this is one thing that I think the M1 A1 HC has better maneuverability than IPM1. But after all, this is a secondary vehicle of the platoon designed to be used as a secondary vehicle. So, you know, secondary vehicle, it still gets the job done. That's the main thing. Okay, so let's go and do the next battle. I have promised that I'll show the blowout panels in action. You will see them in this battle, hopefully. You can use the vehicle as a T90, you can use the vehicle as a Leopard as well. After all, it is very fast, so you know, speed isn't a huge deal. It's not a big deal. It's a fast vehicle. Despite its weight, the Abrams is definitely not the lightest vehicle that there is, but it does get some pretty scary maneuverability for its weight. That's what I'm trying to say here. Okay, so far so good. And this what I'm doing here is not really what I would recommend, because the side armor has literally zero armor. It's paper thin. Even though you do have those protections at the front, I wouldn't rely on those. It's way too paper. Very easy to destroy the vehicle, honestly. Has literally no armor from the side and from the rear, which is again normal. You're not meant to show the side and rear to the enemy, obviously. Front turret and frontal armor is what's best on Abrams, and so far when it comes to that, it's been generally doing a decent job with bouncing shells. When I say bouncing shells, when you go hold down, you can actually bounce quite a lot of shells with the Abrams in general. This is not something exclusive to this vehicle. The composite armor and all that is already present in the previous generation Abrams, I believe. So it can only be a upgrade. And as you can see, the reload matched with the vehicle's very good maneuverability, and overall that matched up with 120 FPS does produce a very pleasant experience. I went back and I reinstalled the game on the 8 Elite device, and so far, as you can see, you know, some flawless FPS. I mean, the reason why I did that, I feel like on 60 FPS it's a little bit slow for me, so I can't really aim properly on 60 FPS anymore. 120 FPS, yeah, after a battle or two, after I got used to it again, I actually started to hit shots that I wouldn't usually hit, which is a good thing, because with 120 FPS I feel like the camera and overall the aim and accuracy and the touch delay are just perfect, which is why I decided to go and install the game on the S23 again to see how I'll play on much better FPS, and then we will actually, down the road, a couple of weeks ago from now, maybe we will compare the results and see what's the problem when I. And this is the bullet panel in action. As you can see, it does kick in very well. But once the blowout panels do work, or when a fire gets put down, you lose all ammo, and that's not exactly a big problem, but at the same time you will have to go and go to the zone, go to the base and reload. Why does that? Obviously because the ammo is physically destroyed, and this is a very nice little attention to detail. And if you're wondering why the sudden change in my overall in the way I talk, I almost fell asleep. I've never done this before. I've never fell asleep while talking, basically. But I think for like a minute or two I was sleeping. So I was pretty much recording while sleeping there for the last like minute or two or three. I don't know what I was talking about, but we're talking about the blood pals now. So yeah, the blood pals worked. I only have one, ironically, cash shell, explosive shell, loaded into the vehicle. So yeah, I'll just go forward and I'll just go and the reload, hopefully. So I would say fantastic overall survivability on this vehicle. It does feel the survivability does feel much better than a Merkava, but at the same time, Merkava is a tier 8, so will be very hilarious to see how a higher tier Merkava will perform, and because currently these things are kind of what everyone wants to drive, because they're very very good in combat because of the engine up front. But we will see how a top tier Merkava will perform. And we are nearing the end of the video here. This was the IPM1. Honestly, it's a decent vehicle, decent support vehicle, and in the future will be a decent standalone vehicle. And well, with that being said, tell me what you think about this platoon. And with that being said, stay safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.